If economic development were a sport, the closest would be football. It's got the most players on the field at the same time, and they all have entirely different jobs. Some actually get a lot more credit than the others, but if everybody's not doing their job, the team doesn't win. You've got people that are down in the trenches, pounding away on the inside. You've got high flyers on the periphery that get the cheers and they get the touchdowns. But without the guys working on the inside, they would never be able to succeed. And I think that's really a good analogy for what happens in economic development, the fact that there's a lot of work in the trenches, there's a lot of work in the defensive and the offensive lines, and that's where EDCO does its work, is really running it out in the middle. Hopefully our public leaders are the ones that are getting interviewed at the end of the game for a successful win. Retention expansion is really the most sound and intelligent start for any economic development plan and program. And it's the reason why we spend a lot of our time at EDCO helping local companies grow, or in some cases actually stay in Central Oregon. National studies show that actually 60 to 70% of new jobs will come from local companies, not new ones coming in. So what do we do to help local employers at EDCO? It's really A to Z problem solving. It's site selection, it's business finance, connecting them to resources, both in the kind of the financial institutions as well as other kind of non-standard sources. It's finding the appropriate incentives that apply. Some incentives are a complete waste of time for companies, but others really can deliver value where it's needed. It's about connecting companies to export opportunities, developing strategies around that. And it's really navigating a regulatory process that companies need to do to expand an operation. Infrastructure development in some cases can be a real key aspect of what we do to help local companies, whether it's development of sewer and water systems, power, natural gas, telecommunications, that is really not the day-to-day business of local traded sector companies, but could be very crucial to their operations and success. Assisting local companies may be where most job creation happens, but efforts to help grow our own are really crucial. I think they're crucial in Central Oregon just because we don't have a lot of larger employers, and we have people moving here with great talent, great experience, and professional backgrounds that are starting their own companies. Entrepreneurs face many challenges in launching their businesses. What EDCO is trying to do is actually increase those odds of success by connecting them with investment capital, other early stage entrepreneurs that have done this before, other serial entrepreneurs that have actually learned the hard lessons, connect them with resources, and then really connecting them with mentorship that increase the odds of success. EDCO orchestrates more than 20 events annually to help bring those elements together to help entrepreneurship. Recruitment is where EDCO's really had its start. It's been our focus throughout the last 30 years. It's much like an onstage performance where you need to have the answers, you need to have them accurate, and everybody aligned together to really put the best foot forward when you're actually trying to recruit a company. You can answer their questions, you've got something tangible to offer to them. It's not just a what can you bring to us in the community, but what can the community actually offer that's going to benefit that business. Companies like Facebook, like T-Mobile, ODS companies, and some of these that actually get a lot more press, perhaps, in the headlines. However, most of our companies are much smaller. Many never hit the headlines, and yet together they're helping diversify the economy. EDCO is the organization that is out there developing new prospects, getting the word out about what we have to offer in the Tri-County area. It's really telling the message that we're open for business and we have something to offer you. That is something that is unique in Central Oregon as far as having an organization that really has recruitment of new industry and new business as their primary focus. It takes a lot of practice, knowledge about the region, experience in actually doing it to be successful in business recruitment. One of our focuses at EDCO is really on building a better business climate in Central Oregon. And while these efforts really don't create jobs, they set the table for creating jobs in the future. Some of that has to do with local policy making, local permitting processes, local STC charges. Some of it deals with state legislation that impacts business and the business climate. And other things deal with really is our infrastructure up to par to what the industry is recruiting. The other thing that EDCO really focuses on is what we call strategic projects. We've been working on higher education as a strategic initiative in EDCO for at least the last decade. is how do we counter the disinvestment we've had in higher education overall in the state, where we need investment in higher education in Central Oregon. We've had some success with that with our local partners here, adding new degrees that really help our industries we're trying to attract and grow here, and developing new facilities. It's projects like air service, benefits all businesses, but can be a critical lifeline for certain sectors like high technology, manufacturing, even service sector. In strategic projects, we think of building industrial parks. There's really no advocate out there besides EDCO for building industrial parks and making sure we have an adequate inventory of industrial land in Central Oregon. And outstanding economic development is always a team sport. We never do this alone. EDCO literally partners with hundreds of organizations in Central Oregon to help bring business projects together. And that's fairly unique in the fact that it happens many times on a very concentrated basis. And those connections have to be very strong. We deal with all the region's chambers of commerce, cities, counties, nonprofit organizations across the board. It's individual professional service organizations. It's early stage companies. It's investors. We work with private business organizations, business associations and trade associations, workforce development organizations. To be successful in economic development, it is all about teamwork and focus.